So there's these times, Svenari and I are like, I've got a thing to talk about. I'm like, I've got a thing to talk about. And then it turns out they're exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
This
not
week was one
today.
of those. This week was one of those because both of us are trying to make the most of people's time in events and get the right inputs into it. So we've been planning good pre-work with our participants to make that happen. Do you want to tell us about your example, Svenari?
Yes, I would like to. I can even share a picture. But the thing is, I was invited to a group from one of the faculties who work with HR. They have restructured. They wanted to talk about which tasks and processes and services do we share responsibility for, because there were a new group of people there. And they wanted a workshop to do that. So I said to them, well, it's not much value to just meet there and start people having to list all their tasks. That's not good use of time. So I asked them to do that in advance. And they did that. And they did that by making a very long Word document with 200 something tasks, which would not be very useful to do when we meet up to work with. So what I did was I quickly, it took me an hour, transformed all these tasks into notes that we could use. So I could just share a picture, because that meant that we could sort stuff on the wall, which of course was much more useful in this instance. So it looks like this.
So each one of those documents on the wall is a unique data point from their feedback,
Yeah.
clustered meaningfully so
Yes.
they can recognize their comments. And I can see some edits where they've changed it on the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That means that they could sort them, they could find categories, and then they could find out, well, if this is a service or a category of tasks, the names will stand there, so that these 5 people need to form a group and talk and coordinate about this.
And for those people who don't realize, it's not dark outside because it's nighttime. It's what? When was that taken?
Yeah, that is about 2 o'clock in the day.
You living in the Arctic,
I
Svenari.
do.
What's it all about?
It's the polar night.
Let me tell you my example. Slightly different. We're working in a planning summit with the senior leaders in my institution. And we know there's lots of things we could talk about. And even talking about what we could talk about would take a lot of time. So we're going to create a starter for 10. What we're going to do is we're going to take all the things we could talk about and we're going to go through a process and we're going to name that process and produce a short list of about 15 to 20 things to discuss. And in advance, we're going to share that with the attendees. We're going to say, look, we don't have time to talk about anything. We've prioritized these things on this basis. If you want to add anything to the list, let us know. If you want to change the basis that we've prioritized it, let us know so we can accelerate with time. Now, we're yet to do this. And when we do that in person, we're going to be using an audience response system. So rather than putting stuff up on the wall, we'll be doing it digitally and producing a kind of a 2x2 matrix where all of these things will be ranked as a kind of into discussion to start an ongoing discussion over the next couple of weeks. So what's the learning about pre-work, Svenari?
Well, the learning is, if you do pre-work and assign tasks before the session itself, that will probably enhance the value and create value for the time that you spend together. Like in my example, don't list all your tasks. That would take, 3 or 4, it will take the whole workshop.
But it may take you as a facilitator more time to do it. And I think you have to be careful making sure that the group understands and goes along with it. And I guess remember the kind of the goals of the session. Awesome.